Welcome back, you guys. Big day for us because live in the studio we have the fabulous Robin Yates Martinez, and she is here with us with the even more fabulous Jay Mohr. We're big fans.
Yeah. I can't co-sign that I'm more fabulous than Robin Yates Martinez.
Honestly, I'm rethinking it too. But let's say that they're both fabulous and wonderful. We're so excited and honored that you're joining us again, and honored that you donate your time in the way that you do for this autism community, because it makes you very menschy, and not like the yogurt.
Nice. Good pull.
So we love Jay Mohr. We know that you guys love Jay Mohr too. We were talking before about...
Not a sponsor, by the way.
No, not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
Good.
Although they give money to autism as well.
Okay.
They actually do. Mm-hmm. So it's okay for us to mention. But we're thrilled that you're here, and the reason why you're here is because this Saturday night you're going to be headlining again, second year in a row, for the comedy, Fullerton Cares Comedy
Show for Autism.
There we go. I needed to get all the right words in the right place and wasn't doing it.
Well, I'm glad, because I just know I'm doing the show with Robin Yates Martinez.
Right?
I love saying your name, all three of them in a row.
Right?
Great.
Fullerton
you
Cares.
should love saying her name that way.
Fullerton Cares is Robin pulled off something really great last year, and that was, a comedy show where the proceeds went to benefit, research development and stuff, helping families dealing with autism, and it was really impressive because I was really late getting there. I had another show, I think, and when I got there, it was about 2 hours in, over 2 hours in, and the crowd was still fired up, and the amount of great comics that Robin got, it really impressed me, and I understand you had Ada here.
Yes.
Great. It's just...
She's hilarious.
It's a great show.
She will actually be on the show tomorrow, on tomorrow's show, and so you guys will love her. She's hilarious. And we also on tomorrow's show are having Keith Reza, who is the host and speaks wonderful things about you. You've done amazing things for him. He says that you've...
Well, he's my friend. I mean, that's not amazing things. That's just what you do. It's my buddy.
Well, that's not what everybody does. Let's be honest.
You're right. Yeah, correct. But,
a lot of people are looking to climb the ladder and step on as many necks as they can, and you are somebody...
I'll step on some necks if I
There
have
you go.
to.
Well, I would hope so.
I'll toss Keith and Ada under the bus if I,
But... you've helped Keith, you've helped to mentor him. He's a young comic on the spectrum who's doing great things, and he's going to be hosting that night for the first time, and I think that he's excited about that. He'll talk with us about that tomorrow. You'll be headlining again. You were hilarious last time. You had us all in tears last time because we were laughing so hard that we could do nothing more than cry at that point. You were hilarious, and we knew that you would be. Nobody was going to go anywhere till you got there. So it's a big night. And
really?
Yes. Yeah, we would have stayed till
Show
the
up
next
on
morning.
Monday.
No, please don't do that. Larry would kill me if I incited that, but we would have waited till Monday because we knew that you were going to be
Just so everybody knows, it's Saturday, Fullerton Cares.
Yes.
Okay, Saturday.
Comedy Show for Autism, November 16th. Doors open at 6. And the show is from 7 to 10. It's going to be fantastic.
3 hours is a lot of show.
A lot of fun.
That's
Lot
like
of
a,
show.
that's
Lot
like a
of fun.
Springsteen concert.
Right.
But you don't have to bring canned goods.
No, no.
I spent $1,000 on a Springsteen ticket. I can't get in unless I have Del Monte green beans. My favorite charity is Springsteen. I give him all my money.
What's he doing with all those green beans?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Has like
I'm
a
sure
carnival
something
behind his
good.
tour bus, plays cornhole or something.
But I understand that you guys participated in something together recently, which is part of the reason why your name is what it is now and why he loves to say your name. So tell us what you did recently that Jay helped out with.
Well, it was the most beautiful, amazing day of my life, and I married my perfect husband, Paul Martinez, and Jay, who was my inspiration for getting healthy, getting happy, getting in a place where I could meet Paul, and really receive that love, and we could start our life together. And so Jay walked me down the aisle, and he performed our ceremony, and it was beautiful.
I married you.
You did.
Is my chair like a foot shorter than yours? Because I know you're not 6'4".
Well, I'm like 6. I'm
I
like
slouch
We
because
could
I'm
pump you
comfortable.
up too.
I gotta tell you, being able to marry Robin to a guy like Paul, as somebody that loves her and wants her protected at all times,
Yeah.
that was tough to get through, because he's a beauty. He's
He's a good
deep
person.
well.
He's
a river. He's not a reservoir. He's a real beauty. So the fact that she was marrying him, it's so. I was thrilled. I was really happy to do it.
Was this your first wedding that you officiated?
No.
Oh wow.
Well, I got the officiant license because I thought through my podcast, what a great way to make side money. I'll get like super fans. I'll charge them like $5 or $2,000 if it's cash. I'll go all over. Nobody hit me up for that. They're like, nah. We thought it was more like it'd be fun to have you and we'll give you a meal. So, but I like meals. I eat like maybe three of them a day.
Occasionally, right?
Yeah. If it's not food, it's water with me.
Right, there you go.
So I was thrilled to do it. And I'm glad you're having Keith on too, because he's, any like rung on the ladder is great for him, because he doesn't disappoint. He delivers. That's when you're in comedy, you're going to help somebody. There's that risk reward of like, is this guy going to do what I say, or am I wasting my time? And he's so funny. I love his joke when he says, because he's on the spectrum, I believe, with Asperger's.
Yeah.
When he was a little kid, everybody was making paper airplanes. He was making paper airports. It's like one of my favorite jokes. When I heard it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like that's a different frequency.
Says it all. Yeah.
And the fact that he's on stage talking openly about it, it's really brave. Like, he's a sweet guy. He took me to a UCLA Bruins basketball game. He works at Ralph's during the day. And he took me to a basketball game, but I couldn't turn him down.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to him, but it meant a lot to me. And like, I'll never forget that. Like, that was so, nobody's ever taken me to a basketball game.
I went to the Lakers last night. I would have gladly taken you if I'd only known.
Well, I was going to say, I think maybe you've been taken to some Laker games, technically.
Yeah, was that the same?
So technically, I think maybe you've been taken to a couple Laker games.
Oh, I've
But I know what you mean.
I have Laker family,
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah. But I'm happy you're having Keith. That's a big deal. That's good.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal for both sides, for you guys, and for him too. It's great. Good.
Well, it's a big deal that, this event, first of all, to raise money, but that the event is actually walking its talk. That it has a person on the spectrum hosting the show in a way that he is getting to do what he does at a really high level with people like you on the bill. It's like great credit for him, and he can handle it. Let's be honest, he's totally up to it. It's
he can handle it. That's a non-issue.
It's not a gift that Fullerton Cares. It's a gift that he's giving to Fullerton Cares, but it's walking the talk.
What's amazing to me, Shannon, is I learned a lot from being friends with Keith since I saw you last.
Yeah.
Like, Keith will call me. He has a podcast, Reza Riffs. And I'll say, I had to do this interview over the phone. I'm not sure how it went. I'm like, well, you were there. He said, but I can't read the facial cues. I can't tell their emotions on the phone. And I thought when he's doing comedy, he can't see past the first row of the audience.
Yeah.
And he has difficulty processing my understanding. I believe I'm correct, but my understanding is he just has a hard time processing how somebody is feeling about what he's feeling.
Right.
And as a comedian, that's impossible. It's like being a coal miner without a hatchet or a shovel.
Wow.
Like, the fact that he can write as much comedy as he does and perform it, and he has no idea, like, in real time, wow, that worked. Like, that's my, like, pleasure button. He doesn't have it.
Well, that's interesting to me because I'm thinking to your performance last year at this, you got up and you did this incredible set, and it wove its way around to all these different things. And I remember thinking, when you put together a set now, you've had so much material over so many years. Do you put it together beforehand, like people do when they start, or do you read the audience, see what they're liking, and decide? Neither. What do you do? What's your process?
I just go up and I start talking.
So you don't know ahead of time?
I mean, I know what works.
Right.
I know I'm going to close with a Christopher Walken impression.
Okay.
I could close with Tracy Morgan, or there's like a bunch of impressions as like, if you're looking at a chessboard, my rooks are like,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm on the spectrum. Chris Farley, Christopher Walken, or Tracy Morgan.
Right.
If you work your way in, like Al Pacino, and then as you get closer and closer in, like the meat of it, the pawns and stuff are like my sons. That's 20. Like, each story I have is about 12 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes. So if I just think about my son, I just start, there's like 80 directions I could go.
Right.
And that leads into something, that leads into something. There's always about 8 minutes of new material that I'm always going to do because I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
Because it's new. And then, you know, the best way I can describe it is when you go on vacation in Hawaii, you don't walk around with your suitcase the whole time you're there. You know, if you go to the pool, you got to take out your swimsuit.
Right.
So when I get to that point in the show, I just go, okay, this is where it goes here.
So you are reading the audience a little bit.
No.
No, you just have just
I
where you're
impose my
gonna
will.
go. But
It's like a fighter. Now, in the old days, fighters used to watch so much tape of the other guy.
Yeah.
Not in the old days, more like in the 70s and 80s. They'd watch film on the other guy a lot and figure out his tendencies. And UFC, when it started in its inception, they would watch film of the other guy. And now this is what I do, try to stop it. The other
Okay.
guy's stuff doesn't, I mean, I use the audience for time and space, but not like content, what I should say next.
But now I want to go back to what you were saying about Keith, because
Yeah.
you were saying the fact that he can't read that, he's like a coal miner without a hatchet. But you're telling me that you're going in and you're going to do whatever. So are you can you say that you're doing your set without if you didn't like Keith?
No,
You know
but
what I'm trying to say? I'm
I
not
do.
being articulate.
I made the tunnels a long time ago.
Right.
They're my
Okay.
tunnels.
They're your so you know where
I
you're
made the
going.
maps.
Got it.
I hung the lights.
Got it.
I'm asking them to follow me into the tunnels.
Got
I'm not
it.
saying, what, you guys want to go this way or that way?
Right.
Then there's doubt, there's pause. You can't have, there's a few, like athletics and show business, you can't have doubt.
Right.
You just got to go.
So your point is that Keith is having to forge those tunnels without the check-ins that
Well,
you
he
had
does his
years
show.
ago.
Like, I worked with him a lot, and he opens for me a lot. I love working with Keith. I know he does a set, and he'll mix up the order sometimes.
Yeah.
But I have the luxury of doing it 33 years. I have 6 hours of material. I
Right.
shot 2 specials this summer.
Oh my gosh.
A month apart. I was kind of being a show off too, like, here's another one. So if you have an hour, if you're opening for somebody, which 20 minutes or probably 15, 20 minutes is the strongest 15. Like if you picture a funnel, like what's the bottom of that funnel? What's the powerful? What's the dot? Like what's the thing?
Yeah.
So he's going to do his best stuff.
Yeah.
But with me, it's, I'll write things down, and those are the things I forget to do. And if I have a piece of paper with anything written on it,
Yeah.
I'm so conscious of looking down and them seeing me look down because I'm not present.
Yeah.
I'm not with them anymore.
Interesting.
If I'm reading a note here, I might as well be going like this.
Right.
I can't. It takes me out of everything.
Wow.
In acting, it works bad because they say you really need to listen to the other person. But when I remember I tried this on Ghost Whisperer. I was really listening to Jennifer Love Hewitt. And I was like, I don't know what these words mean.
That's the thought process.
It was all, I'm like, really listening. But like, see how I scrunched up my face? That's not
Right,
really
right,
listening.
right,
That's
right.
just like
Yeah.
a little kid impersonating adult listening. Like, I'm really listening. And I was like, what did she say? Like fiduciary or something? Like when words don't mean anything after a while. I act like this. This is how I act, ready? Not my turn, not my turn, not my turn. Words. Well, it's really not been my turn in a long time. This is kind of boring. My turn, words. I just wait for the gap and I fill it.
What's been your favorite experience on a set when you were acting, when you felt like, okay, I'm doing my best work here?
I mean, there's 1,000. I mean, getting Jerry Maguire and sitting across from Tom Cruise on your first day,
Yeah.
your first movie ever, your first
That was
thing-
your first movie?
Yeah, Jerry Maguire was my first movie in
That's hitting it out of the
1996.
park.
Yeah, and it was incredible. Everything was perfect. He was perfect. He was beautiful. He's a great person.
Yeah.
And Cameron Crowe and just who you're surrounded by. Playing by heart, I played a guy dying of AIDS, and Ellen Burstyn was my mom. It's a big ensemble. It's not like I'm the guy.
Right.
That's what comics and actors will do. Like, so tell me about your part in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, I play a Nazi who's with his friends at the Ark of the Covenant, and then some guy with a whip comes in and tries to ruin our party.
Right. Right.
I should write that down, actually.
Right.
I'll remember and I'll tell.
Playing by heart, I played a young man dying of AIDS. Ellen Burstyn was my mom, who never even knew I was gay in the movie. Her son was gay. And she has 3 days before I die. Like, we have 3 days where, like, and I was really afraid, like, what if I don't cry? 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 There's a lot of crying in my scenes. And I opened my eyes in the hospital bed, and I looked at Ellen Burstyn, and I just lost my mind, wailing, moaning, sobbing, because I was looking at a woman who was so racked with pain. I'm getting choked up now. Like, she was broken. Her son was dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom! It was transcendental. I've never experienced that before. It was amazing. You know, I could probably do this for an hour, but going to work every day with Buddy Hackett on Action, that was, you know, he was like a dad to me, and a mentor. He was like my sensei, my kung fu master, you know. And he was just silly and great, but he had the best advice. Why do you walk to the microphone when you go on stage? Because that's where everybody walks. Right, don't go there. You see what I do? I go in front of the microphone. I shake that guy's hand and I wave if it's up top. You know, oh, that guy paid for parking. Then you go behind the microphone and they all go behind the microphone with you.
Wow.
I've never walked, you've seen me probably 1,000 times. I've never walked behind a mic since then. I was 99, excuse me. 1999, since then, I put the mic behind me. I'm like, how's everyone doing? He was great.
And people who haven't seen you do stand-up may not know all the impressions. We just saw you do an incredible Buddy Hackett impression, but you do a lot of impressions and you're brilliant at it. It isn't necessarily the thing that everybody knows you best for unless they've seen you do stand-up, which is sort of funny. You're like, it's almost like you're too talented, Jay, and you have all these pockets of things that you do. Marketing you has got to be like a hard thing to do because you can do so much.
Entertainer.
There we go. That's the perfect, the perfect thing.
The guy.
But you brought up the word mentor, and that's something else
I agree with what
you
you said, by the way, about the impressions, and you reminded me, whether you know it or not, I don't do them often at all. And when I go on the road, I just came off of 2 months straight. Every weekend I was out, and I was in LA Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half of Wednesday. I had to be a dad.
Yeah.
And I could feel the tension about 40 minutes in, like, do Christopher Walken, do Christopher Walken. And I'm like, I should do it, because eventually somebody goes, do Walken! Yeah. But yeah, there's been sets where I do 40 minutes of impressions in a 60-minute set, but most of the time I don't even really think to do them, and I have to honor that more and honor that. Ugh. I have to honor that craft more.
It is one of your talents.
I know, just the word honor. I might call them fans too.
But you brought up the word mentor, and I love that you were mentored by people like Buddy Hackett. But you
actually,
now,
you brought up mentor, referring to Keith and me.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a full circle then. Yeah. But you're somebody who takes that role very seriously. We should mention that you have a fabulous, hilarious, wonderful, and grounding podcast, More Stories. But you also mentor people. This is a little bit how, my understanding is how you guys met, because here you were an autism mom. I want to say that I met Robin because we had her as a guest on the show, because she's the outreach director for Fullerton Cares. And Fullerton said, you know, from time to time we have people on and they send good people. She was on the show and I was so impressed with her. I was like, oh, this woman is amazing. I was like, are you looking for a job? Because I know people who are hiring, and you actually worked on Skills for a while.
I did.
And it was a wonderful gift.
What does that mean, worked on Skills?
Well, Skills is an amazing curriculum tool for use with kids with autism, and it's very comprehensive curriculum developed by the Center for Autism. And
that's the overall name for that type of curriculum.
Skills for Autism.
That's fascinating.
Yes,
it is a thing.
We talk about starting like a wrestling team.
Well, I can see where that would be a fabulous thing.
That is
and not like you said that, and I thought it was a joke, but I actually think you guys that would be a great thing.
The repetition of a wrestling. But what happens usually, I've coached autistic kids before, and in the wrestling room, it's something special to watch. It's the repetition that what everybody else finds really mundane, that over and over and over and over. Yeah. And then you go out live into a live wrestling match. All of a sudden, there's 10 mats, not one. There's 400 people, not 14. Yeah. And this isn't a blue mat. Yeah. There's a brown mat. Yeah. And it's like, whoa, it's completely disorienting, and it's, you know, you get a little locked up. So I'd be fascinated to see how to sort of bridge the practice toward the live event. Like what, there has to be, there is a way, there just has to be. I refuse to
what I do.
There has to be
I was just going to say, she's an expert at that.
I'm an expert in modifying
generalization.
Yes.
Like a wrestler.
There's a name for it.
Half Nelsons, cradles, front headlocks. She's got it. Arm drags.
She's an amazing, and I recognize this in her. And you're a mom of two kiddos on the spectrum, in different places on the spectrum.
Very different.
And you, since since that time when I first met you, have gotten a diagnosis for yourself.
Yes.
So you identify now as a self-advocate, as a lot of moms are finding out. They see their kids go through this and they go, I think I might have more in common with them than I thought.
Right, exactly.
But so how did, refresh people's memory if they don't know, how did this happen?
I want to make something really clear. First, we didn't meet as a mentor relationship at all. We met because Robin was coming to my, I just didn't want to misrepresent somebody I love. Like just stumbling out of the woods. Guide me.
That's what it felt like, honestly.
So you go. I just wanted
She
to.
describes it that way, so you can. But let's hear your
She's a
part of it.
sweetheart. She helps me a lot. She'll text me set lists before I go on stage, and they're they're perfect.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
I go, oh, that makes
And
it
if
fun for
I
me.
text him the order and the bits I want, you'll remember it if I.
Yeah, because it makes sense. It's a good set.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's actually me being, well, back to me being on the spectrum. So you know how people on the spectrum are. We have our enthusiasms. And I got into comedy. I've always been really into music, but I found podcasts and I stumbled onto Jay's podcast. And it really did change my life because it set itself apart from the other podcasts that I was listening to because there were jokes, but there was always the underlying message of positive mental attitude, of self-care, never stop growing, never saying anything negative about anyone. And I felt like everyone else's podcasts were kind of trashing people. And so
I still do.
more than ever, probably.
I got lit up on the flight home. I was like, hey, what did I do?
But I really threw myself into that. And it was when my second child was getting diagnosed with autism. And I threw myself into my podcast. That's, just how I escaped.
It was your safe place.
It was. And so Jay used to say, why don't people come and see stand-up comedians the way they do musicians? Because, you'll go see your favorite band a million times, but no one follows comedians like they follow the Grateful Dead. And I was like, that's a good idea. So I started going to like every single one of his shows. And I
didn't know that.
have officially lost count.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why
I didn't know I
why
said
ended
that.
up
I didn't
there.
know that's why. I thought you just wound up at a show and kept coming.
And once I saw how amazing you were live, I think every comedian that I'm a super fan of now owes you some kind of royalty because I'm a good fan and I go to all the shows and I support, comedian puts a book out, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to listen to the podcast, support the Patreon, all of that stuff. And it's because of you and your message. And so no one looks like me, and so I'm just in the front row all the time.
It's a nice set, by the way. She's easy on the eyes. When you look down the front row, it's not some like real estate broker from Long Island.
But did you
wearing
feel like
shorts?
Did you feel like you were being stalked a little bit because you recognized that?
I should have, but no, never. It was
she doesn't
always
have
nice.
that vibe to her.
No, I never did.
Well, I was a good fan. It wasn't like meeting him in the parking lot or anything. I was, showing up. Yeah, that was later.
But I did that too, like in my radio show. Like when I had my sports talk radio show, it was syndicated. There's 20 listeners that are in my phone that I still talk to.
Yeah.
And people are like, you can't get your phone number out to listeners. They'll come kill you. I'm like, no, not these guys.
Well, there's people watching now that I've become friends with that across the country, across the world, that I consider friends that watch this show. I mean, it happens. You build a relationship over a period of time.
There's a signal in the noise.
Yeah.
You just tell.
Yeah.
Like, he's okay.
Yeah.
She's all right. He's all right.
And so you guys became friends.
Yes, and he is really, really good at reading people, which is, I think, how he knew I was harmless. And he's really, really good at reading people. And we happened to both be going through extremely painful divorces at the exact same time. And he looked out at me, and literally I just made a face, I guess, in regard to something he had said. And later, I'm walking out of the show, and someone came and got me and said, oh, Jay wants to talk to you. And he just looked at me and said, I know you're in pain. And did just lead me out. And he was in the worst pain I've ever seen him or pretty much anybody
got worse,
in.
Sweetie.
No, but
It got a lot worse.
My point is, though, it was when he was having his darkest days, when he was even in the depths of what he was going through, he still reached out to me to make sure I was okay, knowing that if he was in that kind of pain, then I must certainly be. And he was there for me, and he taught me how to get past the painful things I was stuck on. And that's what I mean when I say I got to a place in my life where I was able to be happy and healthy and meet my husband, Paul.
You learned to let the good in.
Yes, I did.
And I have to say, I
Proud
haven't
of you.
seen her in a while. You know, I used to see her on a regular basis,
look
and then I
so
didn't
great,
see her
Robin.
for a period of time, and there was a transformation. And there was an absolute transformation, and I said, oh my gosh, you look different. And she said, I feel different. And and of course, when
But see, that's what I see though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it is a transformation. I don't know, it's like a layman term. And it sounds snooty, but that's what I see in the person. And that's what I see sort of clouded up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that person's got to come out.
Yeah.
Like, you're smothering that girl.
Yeah.
So it's not, for me, it's like, there she is.
Yeah,
Nice
exactly.
To see, now it's nice to see you again.
And there was clearly something, and I remember saying something to her about, so what's happened, and one of the first things she said was you. So, and I know that people listen to your podcast, and that you sometimes, is it always just like a little squishy thing, or is there a hard and fast thing that you actually say to somebody, okay, now I'm gonna mentor you?
Well, I'm a life coach. On my jaymohr.com, I send a non-disclosure agreement for their privacy, a money-back guarantee. There's disclaimers on my website. Robin wrote a great one, which I'm grateful for.
So you take people on and help them to
Yes,
get
jaymohr.com, all the information's
get
there, yeah.
what they
I do about
want
6
out of
people
life.
at a time, so I don't
Yeah.
get like scattered. And
Yeah.
so, about your dad dying. My dad didn't die.
Right.
I just got diagnosed with diabetes. You didn't let me finish. In the future, when your
When your dad dies.
I do about 6, 7, or 8 people at a time. You can email me at coachjj37@gmail.com. I had to say that really slow, make sure I wasn't giving out my personal email.
There we go.
I'm the only one that reads it, but that's the life coaching email, coachjj37@gmail.com. And I don't have the thing I start with is I feel blank because blank. And for the first space, you can only use a one-word emotion, and think of emotions like primary colors.
Wow.
Don't come at me with copper.
Right.
I feel frustrated because, like, no. Frustrated means,
Right.
which is a subsidiary of, which is an
Right.
avenue that next to.
Wow.
There's like 4 of them, really. I'm
and
angry.
everybody
I'm
needs
afraid.
this in life, right?
I'm afraid, or I'm angry.
Yeah.
That's, or that's it. Sad.
Yeah.
Sad, afraid. I mean.
Yeah.
And through doing it, and I coach high school wrestling every day, and I wrestle every day when I'm in the room, and it's when you see somebody like that exhausted and broken down, there's no walls, and you realize, like, there's only like 6 kinds of real people here. I mean, everybody's so different, but it's like, there's the, I won't be able to say it succinctly. I don't have a tried and true formula like this is my thing, other than that first sentence, and I do it via email. 11 for each of us. Like, if I was working with you, you'd have 11, I would have 11, about 22 emails. And I'm not strict about it. Because when you talk, you can go, what I meant was, you can kind of gloss over. When you send me an email of that import, you reread it, you edit, you put this up top, you remove that entirely. I'm going to, semicolon, why did I put the semicolon in there? So then you send it to me after you sat on it overnight. So by the time I'm reading it, if something sticks out to me, you don't even know you're wearing clown shoes. Like, wow, this sentence is right after that sentence.
Right.
Like, I'm completely addicted to logic and rationality. I'm afraid to go to bed at night. Like, well, that doesn't even make sense.
Right.
That's hypothetical. It's not that great an example, but, and nobody's been unhappy.
Yeah.
It's been an honor, really, because people share things. I'm a comedian. I have no documentation. I have no certification. I'm just a comedian that's been kicked in the guts a few times in my life, and getting my own act together through a couple programs that end in A and don't have to do with eating. I got to keep my side of the street clean. I got to take my inventory every day. I have to meditate every day. I have to just.
But there's something very unique about you. I'm sure you recognize.
Oh, I don't disagree. I've been trying to get everybody to feel that way since I was 17. Come
Right,
on.
and there is something very special about you, and how you show up is very unique.
I've never
and
actually been this
special.
embarrassed in real time before, because you guys were really
well,
effusive with the praise.
No, but I'll tell you,
Thank you.
last year when we did because I did a little thing in the comedy show, I was there, saw you perform, and my son was there, and afterwards. afterwards, I wanted him to meet you, and so we came backstage and we got a picture with you, and I went to introduce him to you, and I said, well, this is my son Jem, but he likes to go by the name James now. And you looked at me and you looked at me, and then you looked at him, and you were like, what's your name? And he introduced himself as James, and you spent the moment with him, and then you turned to me and you were like, why are you calling him anything other than what he wants to be called?
That's what I said, yeah.
And you did, and I was like, I don't know. But I do know it's because I had, 14 years of thinking of him that way and calling him that, and I just hadn't been able to shift my gears, but I worked much harder on it after that. Because it was that you come at people with a Mack truck of truth.
I'm very abrupt.
A Mack truck of truth.
I take the ball and I go home very quickly.
You do, and it's disarming.
Yes or no answer. Yeah. Well, then we're done
disarming.
talking if you can't give it to me.
Right.
Like I don't have time for this. You don't know this, but you don't have time for this.
Right.
This is why you're stuck.
Right.
Is because you keep waffling like.
Right. He makes it like he takes it right down to the bone level immediately, and that's disarming. And everybody's not ready for it at all. But if you need somebody who's going to, not waste time wading through the bullshit meter, excuse my French, but just take it to the bone. This is your guy.
My psychiatrist, when I go see him, he diagnosed me as bipolar a month ago. It was a year and a half in the making. He didn't throw a label on it.
Wow.
I'm like, I wasn't a jerk. I had a problem. I sit down. He goes, so. All he says is the word so. And I go, da, 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 and then this and that. But I feel great. But sometimes, I don't feel great because. And then I stop talking. And if he doesn't talk right away, I go, geez, what else? I'm bombing. And there's times where I'm like, he's got to say, and it's always right at the end. He goes, have you ever tried? And I'm like, whoa. But if you let somebody tell you what's wrong,
Yeah.
they'll tell you a lot of stuff that isn't wrong. It just gets added in like a magnet going through a bunch of paper clips.
Yeah.
Like, I feel because. First is a one-word emotion only, and after because, you can write as much as you feel I need to understand the what you feel. I feel that because my sister is an addict, and I got all my kids and her kids, and my job is killing me, and I got my foundation I have to run, but like, hold on a second. Your sister has nothing to do with this is it's like
Right,
Rashomon,
right.
all these different things. So
Right.
why don't you send it back to me when you're ready to do it?
Loving the Rashomon reference.
You're my birthday. I love that you love it.
Yeah, but,
As I said it, I'm like, why are you saying Rashomon?
no, totally got it, loved it.
There was a guy I worked with. He was a professional athlete, and that's where foundation popped in. I'm like, where'd you get foundation from? His dad was in the hospital. His father was dying. His sister was an addict. That was roughly his thing. And I can't break his confidentiality, obviously, but I
Right.
give breast drugs.
Right.
My sister's an addict. I'm watching her kids and my kids, and I have this divorce, and now I can't go see my kids because of the foundation of my sister's addictions and this, and I want to see my father in the hospital, but I can't because I get the ear beaten when I go, oh, a second. And it was just, I just knew his dad was an error when he was a kid. I can always feel when somebody's missing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's intuition, I guess, but I don't know. And I said, your dad wasn't around when you were a kid. Like, he was alive, but what's going on? I go, actually, just yes or no? And he goes, yes. I go, okay. I'm afraid to go see my father in the hospital because when he dies, he will have left me again.
Yeah.
And the
Mack
guy
truck
started
of truth.
crying. The guy started crying. I was in his
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
And I realized I had a flight to catch in 14 minutes.
Right.
And I went, can you pay me cash? He goes, oh, what?
Spoken like a true life coach.
I had to go on the road for like
Right.
2 months. And this is like back when I was like minus hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the divorce and the IRS. And I was like, it just popped in my head. I was exhausted from the,
Right.
Can you pay me cash? She goes, oh my God, you're what? I go, I'm totally kidding.
But you cut right to it, and
But the first thing, yes,
Yes.
that was important. But yeah,
Anyway,
there's
yeah.
when you're a kid,
You
you're
were
getting chased through
interested.
the house, and you don't want to get tagged, so you like knock a chair over behind you.
Yeah.
People use words like chairs. They just,
Yeah.
you talk to them, it's like this, and you can't get me and see
Right.
what the problem is because I threw these words around
but you have
behind
the
me.
ability to see through the chairs.
I can see that they're phony. I could see that. I even said that like a creep. I could see that they're phony. I'll tell you that, lady.
But you know, a lot of
I
people
don't see
can't see
through
that.
them. I know that they're not. They're
not
not.
the
They're
thing.
not who I'm trying to tag.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like a masseuse who, you know, people have different talents. And there's like the masseuse who can be massaging somebody's back, and we could all do that, but they find the one spot.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
And they go, okay, this is the knot, this is the spot.
Something
breathe
you
into
didn't know
that.
was bothering you.
Right,
Like,
right,
oh,
exactly. So,
apparently my left calf is.
right, you're brilliant that way. And we're out of time, and I hate that we're out of time.
Why did I put a T in calf? My left calf.
I didn't hear it. It got by me. But in any case, let's go back to the fact
Fullerton
that Saturday,
Cares.
this Saturday, there are tickets.
How about this? It's
Yeah.
in Fullerton.
It's in
What are the odds
Fullerton.
of that?
Like, you don't even have to
She
remember.
didn't know that when she named it.
And you could
Oh
take
no, it's not my foundation.
and you could
Okay.
take the train to get there and get off in the train station, and you're in the parking lot for the event. So there it is. Go early. The event
Yes.
starts at 7. But
get
go,
there at 6,
Go
at least.
At least 6.
Yes.
I'm saying go there at 4:30. Have dinner, drinks, and whatever.
They want
see
you as
the live
exhausted
bands.
and as intoxicated as possible by the time you see me. Is that the
That's
plan?
not the ticket, but there's things to do leading up to, and then you
course.
want to be there in your seat when Keith takes the stage, which
Yeah.
will be significantly before Jay is there. Don't forget that on tomorrow's show we have Ida Rodriguez and we have Keith Reza, and you're going to be back with us.
Yes.
Tomorrow's show, but be there on Saturday because there's too many funny people that are showing up. It is adult, let's say that, totally adult. Although, you know, I did bring my son last year, but I don't think that it's typically for
Yeah,
teenage.
it's definitely
Really-
for adults.
You really
I
have
really
to
like
bring it.
that guy.
Yeah, well, he liked you
Yeah.
too. He thought you were hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
We had a nice time, just him and me.
He left there saying that maybe he'd like to be a stand-up comedian, and I would. So you know,
Sure.
we're laying that at Keith's door, but also yours. And there were a lot of good comics, but the whole thing in going, okay, people can make people laugh. That's the thing to do.
He was listening to a lecture in his earbuds, I remember.
Really? See, I don't remember that.
Yeah, the earbuds, and he was listening to a lecture, but it was to a chill step.
I remember I do remember now because that was the thing. You were like, "What are you listening to?"
It was really hard for him to explain.
Yeah.
And then I had to let him know, like, that's just so you know, that's really hard to explain.
It's scary that you remember that.
He's special. He's special to me. He's an
He's
important
very
guy.
special to me too.
I didn't mean,
and that was
you know,
a special moment, but I don't remember.
I just met him, and
Yeah.
I haven't thought about him since then. But when you brought
Yeah.
him up, I went, I like that guy.
You
yeah,
saw
he's
him.
a good kid.
Yeah, I did.
He's a good kid. And you're a good guy. You're one of the good guys. And
Thanks.
I think you know that, but well, let's make sure that we tell you. And thank you because you were a light. You're an absolute light.
Yes.
And you bring lights together, which is a fabulous
Thank you.
fabulous
I've got to say though, I wish I could take all the credit for this comedy show, but
Take it. Take it.
No, big shout out to Larry Hauser, Summer Hauser, Heather
It takes a
Lane.
village, and you guys have the village in Fullerton.
Absolutely.
Larry, what are their names? Larry? And-
Larry and Summer Hauser.
You know them, and they're the
Yeah.
fabulous.
I just talked over to Summer's name, so I wanted to make sure I got out.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
I'm
yeah,
happy to
they're
see you,
fantastic.
Shannon.
I'm happy to see you too, and
Nice
thank
to
you
see
for
you.
taking the time to come in here. We have to go, unfortunately, but we will be back tomorrow with another show, great show. Ida Rodriguez, you guys are going to love her, and Keith Reza and Robin will be back with us. Don't wait, get your tickets. They have a few left for the Fullerton Cares Comedy Show for Autism. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.